What's up, everybody? My name is Clue, and this is the Kent Farm podcast. And this morning, I woke up as I have far too many times as a Superman fan at the moment to news of a new story on the way. Um, I don't know how I feel on this. So obviously, we've got news that a new Superman writer is coming in to reboot the franchise with J.J. Abrams. Um, they've been talking about this a while. J.J. Abrams has been in and out for a couple of years. Supposedly, they approached him a while ago with a $500 million deal to come to DC, and he was allowed to take on whatever property he wanted, but they wanted to push Superman. He supposedly didn't really want to do that, where he went with his Justice League Dark film, which we know is on the way. We got the news the other day that a Constantine series, as part of that, is coming. But now we've moved on to Superman. So apparently what he's been doing is taking meetings for a new take on Superman. And we got news this morning that we had a new writer coming in. Now, I can't remember his name. I'm not going to look it up right now. But the implication there is that we're expecting maybe Clark Kent's out. Now, I'm torn. I'm torn on this because personally, as a massive Superman fan, as you can tell, over my shoulder here, we've got Henry Cavill Superman, and it still feels like, after all this time, Warner Brothers has just disrespected the man big time. We had Man of Steel, which is phenomenal. Batman vs. Superman, which I personally think is one of the best movies of all time, and I can understand that not everybody feels the same way as I do, but you haven't given Henry Cavill a chance outside of that. Now, you will say, and I'm more than happy to acknowledge the fact that, let's be real, we've just introduced the multiverse. We know the multiverse is around. We know it's on the way, and that nothing necessarily means anything anymore. But obviously, as part of this, some of the rumors going around, and whether you choose to believe them or not, is up to you, is that as part of this, Henry Cavill is gone. Now, what you hear, Henry Cavill has been in the running for 007 for a while. This could be a good chance for him, obviously coming off the Daniel Craig film or film series, for him to be able to take over the role, which would be fantastic. And don't get me wrong, I would love to see Henry as 007. I'm a big fan of him there. But again, massive Superman fan, and really what I would love to see him in is more Superman. And I know he was approached a while ago with, or they approached Matthew Vaughn, or Matthew Vaughn had pitched something, was trying to get something going, and that fell through. And personally, as a fan of his action, I think he would have done really well. But ultimately, this whole thing was part of this five film arc that we're not getting, or we're likely not getting. I don't know. Like, Zack Snyder's Justice League is on the way. It's like so close. And it just feels like us DC fans are just really struggling. Like, we're just consistently getting beaten down by the studio that is supposed to be the ones in charge and supposed to be the ones who are running this. And you got the Marvel and the Disney fans over on one side. And don't get me wrong, I watch all of those films and I love all those films, and that's all great. But I've always been a DC fan, and I've always been heavily a DC fan, and all I've wanted is to get a universe built. And it sort of feels like, you're picking, we're getting Superman, who's arguably the number one character. Obviously, you could say Batman, but let's just say, like, the pinnacle of superheroes is Superman, and the man is just getting so disrespected. We've got the Superman and Lois TV series, which was totally fine, but the fact that he's being relegated to being on a CW show, and that's where they're going to focus their efforts, and it's just disgusting to me. It's just absolutely disgusting that that's the case. You give us Matt Reeves the Batman, that's fine, but I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel, because if they're doing the multiverse, and if they're adding a Val Zod or a Calvin Ellis version of Superman to the universe, then great. You know, it's something different. It's part of the multiverse, and Henry Cavill's still there. But why do you need to get rid of Clark Kent when we've barely had a chance from him? You know, like as part of what we've seen from him, we've seen what Man of Steel. So he got one movie. He got 42 lines or something in Batman vs Superman. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, love the film, but obviously it wasn't directly a sequel. It was a sequel that introduced the other characters, and that's again totally fine. But I remember sort of 2013, we're all thinking eventually we're going to see this spin-off into another, you know, Man of Steel 2 or whatever. And it seems like Warner Brothers has just been trying to tank everything that they can in order to reboot and retool and redo or whatever the fuck they want to do. For what purpose? For what purpose? For one, if you're trying to capture the Marvel audience that are putting $1 billion into your franchises, they don't care about DC. All they do is roast DC. And that is, again, their prerogative. They can do what they want. Why are they the ones that you're trying to convince? Warner Brothers. Like, why are they the ones that you're trying to convince? Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is Warner Brothers is going to put out this mediocre bullcrap that none of us want in order to try and appeal to these fan base of audiences that don't like the product, while shitting on the people that do like the product. And we can see it. It is so obvious to us. And if it was at bare minimum, you look at that interview with Zack Snyder the other day, who said Warner Brothers, when they said that they were going to release a Snyder Cut, wanted to just put out the basic. Now, that's what I was fighting for. You know, I assumed that that's what we were going to get. But Zack said no, because if I put this out and it's incomplete, you can turn around and say, this is what it was like the whole time. And this is sort of what it feels like at the moment. It's like all they're doing is consistently trying to sabotage. You've got this thing that you know is going to be strong. And every single time something comes up, they're like, oh, yeah, well, Henry Cavill's no longer relevant. So, yeah, you can enjoy your Snyder Cut or whatever, but it's not going to be part of anything going forward. So if you're a general audience member, you can just not watch, and it's irrelevant to you now because Henry Cavill's not there anymore. So don't worry about it. Oh, we're going to introduce Supergirl from another universe or she's going to take over, or whatever the hell they're going to do with that. Now, I don't care. I'm excited for Supergirl. I think that's going to be great. But again, you're introducing a rebooted Superman. You've done Superman and Lois. You're introducing a Supergirl, and this entire time you've had this A-list star, and you can deny that he's an A-list star, but he is. He's been in Mission Impossible. He's The Witcher. They're eyeing him off for Bond, and you're going to lose that to play the most iconic superhero of all time because of what? Ego? Pay the man what he wants if that's the issue. But it's obvious that Cavill has been wanting to continue the role. It's very obvious that he's been wanting to continue the role. He's been saying it. He's been saying it forever. And it just feels like they've gone consistently. Warner Brothers has no plans at this time for any more Superman. It's just bullshit. It's just absolute bullshit. And, you know, if the multiverse is going ahead, that's fine. But don't do it at the extent of Cavill, of Clark, because we've barely got a Clark story. You can have 3 Batman next year, or this year, or whenever The Flash is coming out. You're going to have the Batman with Pattinson, you're going to have Keaton, and you're going to have Affleck. If that's the case, you can have 2 different Supermen and keep Cavill, put in whoever the hell you want for this new one. If you can have 3 Bruce Waynes, you can have 2 Supermen. That's all I'm saying. Or 3 Supermen if you can count the CW one. But I'm just talking films. If you can have 3 Bruce Waynes in films in 1 year, you can have 2 Supermen. Just keep him in. And I don't know. It just feels like every 6 months I wake up and I'm just disappointed. Just disappointed in Warner Brothers and disappointed in everything that they're consistently doing to the fans, because it just makes you not want to support and not want to pay attention, because then we're getting stuff like Birds of Prey, which I thought was okay. Shazam, which I liked Shazam, but again, it's like your main characters aren't getting respected, and then you expect us to want to support and enjoy these other characters who aren't. You're not respecting the main characters. I don't know. And then you get shit like Wonder Woman 84, where you've established this, and then you listen to that moron Jeff Johns, and we should know. We should know. With Warner Brothers, we absolutely should know. I mean, you look at it, and they've had this investigation, and Jeff Johns is still talking about Superman and Lois and being in interviews and stuff. And despite the fact that one of the writers in the actual shows specifically called him out as well, and yeah, they're going to let him continue doing anything. We know that he's useless. We know that they're useless. And Hamada and Emmerich are going to protect each other and protect him and do all that. And we just got to pray that the team at Warner Media decide that, no, hold on a moment, these people are trash, and let's get rid of them. And again, I would be totally on board. You can reboot whatever you want once you finished it. Once you finish it, just reboot it, put it in Reeves, Pattinson universe. That's fine. Do that once you finish Justice League 2 and 3. If you do that, it's simple. Those of us who are fans of that universe, of those characters and those versions of the characters, get our arc completed. Doesn't take you that much. It's what, 2 or 3 years? That's fine. You can be building the multiverse in the background. Finish those stories. Once they're finished, what are we going to do? We know that that's where the story ends. We don't expect you to necessarily go crazy with it or do anything else. Finish the stories. If those stories get finished, then I'm going to be going, well, I want more DC content. Where's the DC content that I want? I'm happy. I'm satisfied. The arc that I'm interested in is complete. And then I'll watch whatever else you put out. But yeah, that's my rant. I just needed to vent a little bit. We're going to do a live stream later and talk a bit more about all of it. But for the moment, that's me. That's where I'm at. As a Superman fan, I'm devastated. And I'm excited. I'm like right in the middle of, I think it's going to be really cool to see different versions of the character. But it sort of feels like you're getting halfway through and Infinity War finishes, and then they go, we're going to reboot. And then you're like, hold on a moment. You haven't finished the story. Yeah, we didn't quite make enough money. Finish the damn story. And that's my rant. So if you want to hear more of it, because I'm sure I'll rant like this more, like and subscribe. This is the Kent Farm Podcast. We're based in Australia. I've been trying to get as many Australians as I can on the channel. If you are Aussie and watching and want to chat, just hit me a message. Is that clue? On Twitter, or Kent Farm Podcast on Twitter, or drop a comment, and we'll do what we can to get you on, because I really just want to keep talking to people that like this stuff. We got a bunch of cool content coming up, and yeah, I guess we'll chat soon.